Good morning or good whatever time of the day it is for you, and I want to thank each one of you for being here today. We are going to look at choose to be happy today. I did a wedding yesterday at noon on the river in Cincinnati, and it was one of the local parks. And it was at 20 till 12, and my GPS said I was 4/10 of a mile from the location. And I couldn't find the street I was supposed to turn on. Now, downtown Cincinnati, which is very close to where this park is very hilly with a lot of curvy roads. So when I tried to tell the GPS to take me back, it took me 3 miles away to bring me back. By the time I finally found the place, it was 35 minutes later, so I was 10 minutes late for the wedding, which really doesn't make me happy. I will tell you right now, I did not choose to be happy. In fact, I was quite upset. But what I want us all to realize is that happiness is a choice and that it's one we can make. Ernest Holmes says in the Science of Mind text, we find that prayer is essential in happiness. For righteous prayer sets the law of spirit of life into motion for our own good. He also says, life responds to us in the way we approach it. We should choose that which we wish to embody, and by constant attention to it, take on all its characteristics. Let us choose to be identified with the power, with the beauty and love, with peace and happiness. Let us identify ourselves with abundance and success. And in the Science of Mind textbook, the glossary, happiness is defined in part as a state of well-being or enjoyment of good of any kind. In metaphysics, it means a statement of inner peace, a consciousness of the goodness of God, and the beneficent attitude of the universe, a realization that joy can come to each of us. It has a definite effect on mind, body, and affairs, a statement of pure joy. And he also says in the power of an idea, there is no success in life without happiness. Without happiness, all living is a failure. There is no success without an inner sense of security, nor a sense of worthiness without a complete conviction of the eternal evolution of our own soul. And when we think about happiness, we need to remember that it is a choice. It's the choice that we keep making or not making, depending on where we are. When I was looking for something to talk on today, I was guided to pick up one of the books that always gives me great ideas for a talk, and it's Charles Raymond Barker's The Power of Decision. And chapter 5 is entitled Decide to Be Happy. And that's one thing we need to remember through all this. Happiness is a choice that we keep making or remaking or deciding to do all the time. Barker says, it is obvious that for most people in the world today, happiness is available. Everything is done that can possibly be done to make us happy. We exist in a universe of almost gluttonous things. No longer can it be said that only the people of wealth can have everything. People in lower income classes have TVs, cars, and good clothes. And yet, unhappiness continues at all economic levels and all types of people. He goes on to say, they want to change the situation in their experience while remaining in their present static state of mind. A changed experience can only happen to a changed individual. This is a mental and spiritual law. It is the truth of life, and intuitively everyone knows it. try as we may to avoid this truth, it remains the truth. Basically, what he is saying is what we think about, where we put our mind and our attitudes, is what shows up in our life. It's what we decide to do that happens. He reminds us that many of us allow our mind to control itself and to go off on tangents. Like I would love to tell you that I was calm and in prayer and fully present when I was driving around lost yesterday. Unfortunately, that is not the truth. I was in such a bad space that I really knew that in order to do my best job to be a minister at this occasion of this couple's beautiful wedding, I had to undergo a major attitude change before I got out of the car. And fortunately, I did. But I was not choosing to be happy. I was choosing to be angry, foul-mouthed, and upset. And I'm lucky I didn't have a wreck. I was so wound up and so unhappy. I was definitely not proud of myself in that moment. But too many times we allow our mind to go on its own tangent and not do what we need it to do. And we stay stuck in that rather than doing something to bring ourselves back into that attitude. And Barker continues to remind us in this chapter and throughout his whole book that our life is a choice that we make. It is a decision we make. We can choose to be happy. We can choose to be mad and angry. We can choose to carry the weight of the world around on our shoulders. We can choose to be wealthy. We can choose to be poor. It is whatever we allow ourselves to be attached to. Reverend Cliff talked last week about being who we came here to be. I truly believe, and Jesus so stated in the Bible, that we're here to be happy. In the book of Job, it says, the sons of God shout for joy. And Jesus stated in John 15:11, these things I have spoken unto you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Even Jesus was telling us we're supposed to be happy, that we're supposed to be able to pull ourselves back from these nasty experiences that sometimes happen to us and to really bask in the oneness of God. And that oneness of God is to be healthy, whole, prosperous, abundant, joyous. It's not to be mad and angry. It's not to be dangerous on the road because you are so upset. It's to be fully centered and present in the love and the joy and the wholeness that is God, that is Spirit. Barker offered a Science of Mind treatment as part of his chapter. So if you'll just take a moment and center yourself, I would like to share his words with you because they are quite powerful. There is one mind, God, infinite good. This good includes all that I am. Therefore, it includes every idea that I need to be happy and creative. These divine ideas are right now functioning in my consciousness, revealing themselves to me. I am open and receptive to these ideas. I am alert to their intuitive instructions. There is no resistance in me to my own good. There is no old patterns of unhappiness, no false ideas that I am unworthy. I am a spiritual being, an individualization of life. My subconscious mind now accepts these statements and acts on them. and now I know my rejoicing pathway. One of the things that Barker stresses over and over again in this chapter is creative ideas. To him, and what he stresses in this chapter, that our creativity is part of our happiness, and that there are infinite numbers of ideas in the universe that are just sort of floating around out there and ready for us to grab onto them. There are numerous ways to be creative. And part of our happiness is to express that creativity in every area of our life and to truly enjoy life and to enjoy that creativity and to do things that allow us to be happy and to be creative and to bring those happiness moments back to us. He also stresses that we need to do different things. As Albert Einstein said, that we can't solve the problem by using the same kind of thinking we use to create the problem. We can't solve the problem by using the same thinking we use to create the problem. So this is a reminder to me of what Barker is talking about. In order to shift our consciousness, we have to do something different. If we've been thinking one way, we have to find a way to turn to think another way. Holmes reminds us throughout the Science of Mind texts and his other writings that when there's something going on in our life that we don't like, that we are to turn away from it and embody what it is that we do want to experience. And I will admit that for me, when I am in the middle of a crisis, this has always seemed to be very difficult because I'm caught up in the effects of what's going on. But if I can remember what Barker is talking about and think of something creative, think of something different, look at it in a different way than I've looked at it before. As Mary Morrissey has shared numerous times in the Prosperity Plus material, when Alice in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, is talking to the Queen. And the Queen asks her, "What did you do tomorrow?" And Alice says, "Well, that's impossible. I can't know what I did tomorrow because that's impossible thinking." And the Queen looks at her and says, "Well, I can't believe that. I used to think of impossible things for 30 minutes every day and think of at least 6 impossible things every day before I ate breakfast." So when we are in the midst of something other than what we want to experience, we need to remember that there's something else out there to grab onto. There's another way to do it. We need to do something that was unexpected. I was reading a book last night by one of my favorite authors, and it was a paranormal type book, and there was a lot of magic involved. And they were trapped in a cave. And they knew that the magic had been set up to react to what they would normally do. So they had to find a way to do something that was out of the norm for them. They had to figure out a way. Anytime they thought of something that would be what they would normally do, they knew they couldn't do it because it was going to trigger another trap. So they had to figure out a way to do something different. And you could feel their frustration. And when we're looking at another way to do something, we also sometimes feel frustrated. But it's worth the effort to find another way to think, to find another way to do something. And when we're in the midst of making these changes, we need to make subtle changes in our life. We need to go to new places to eat. We need to read different books or watch a different TV show or find something that makes us laugh. And I I had an experience this week that I highly recommend as a fun and joyous experience, and that is to go watch 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds play baseball. Because truly, do you not know what's going to happen next? And it can be funny, it can be excited, and it can be joyful. One of the best experiences was watching my 8-year-old grandson catch his first fly ball and see his astonishment, like, wow, I actually did this. And I caught it. And, you know, we do that when we look for creative ideas. He had worked very hard to be able to do that. He had worked very hard to let it go of his old belief that he couldn't catch a ball, and he embodied a new one. So what I'm asking you is to truly make a choice to be happy. Or as Barker says, I decide to be happy. And I'm going to read one of his affirmations, and I want you to repeat it after me. Because when you decide to be happy, you need to say to the universe, I choose to be happy. I've decided to be happy. I am happy. You need to put it out there with confidence and power and passion, and say it several times a day for at least a week. I would recommend a minimum of several times a day, 21 times a day, until you really feel it. And when you say, I've decided to be happy, or I am happy, and you think, but I'm not happy right now, remember this: happiness is a spiritual quality. Happiness is what God intended us to be. It even says in our Declaration of Independence that each one of us has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I say we stop pursuing happiness and instead decide to live as happy. So in the final part of this, I want y'all to repeat this after me as I say it. I have decided to be happy. I am happy. I have the right to be happy. If other people can be happy, then I can be happy. I have the same mind and emotions that they do. I now declare that my subconscious uses all of its intelligence to make me happy. I am happy now. And thank you. I hope I didn't just kick myself out of here.